Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's Monday morning, which means we draft a best Ball Mania team for breakfast. Today, I have a very special guest, Ryan Hodge. We are going to talk through it all right after the jump.
Bro, I'm telling you, hop in these drafts when these idiot streamers are trying to draft and talk to the chat at the same time. It's so plus EV, bro.
Oh no, I think I accidentally just took Kenyon Drake and Josh Jacobs. What do we call that? A no-no.
No way, you don't have to set your lineup. That's incredible. And recently eclipsed 23%, and I'd much prefer it to be in the more 21 to 22% range.
Ryan Hodge, broadcasting live from Austin, Texas, right?
Yeah, buddy. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, you some people I feel like it would be a tough ask asking them to get up early, but I've seen your Instagram posts. I know you're up carpe diem, seizing the day here every day. So this is probably late for you.
It's not late for me, but yeah, man. No, this is perfect. This is when after the endorphins are going, I've got my morning walk in, I've made some tea. This is optimal draft time for me. So I'm good, man. Thank you.
Yeah, and I see you've been heavy in the underdog streets with me. I like the thing you do on Twitter where it's like I've been doing chess puzzles lately, and I feel like you do underdog draft puzzles where it's like if you find yourself at this junction in a draft with this team already, what do you do?
Yeah, man. Well, and it's fun. Like, hey, Twitter, pick a player for me. Like my portfolio over the next 60 days will be fun. So it's just like, I don't care. Pick one. What do you got? Where are you guys at? Because all three of these wide receivers, nobody knows. We all have great guesses, but nobody knows. So just embrace it a little bit. And yeah, let's go.
That's actually a really good way to diversify because I find myself at pockets in the draft, drafting the same guys over and over. So if you just ask Twitter, maybe you can get some diversity to the players you're drafting.
Yeah, but then Twitter just tells me to pick whoever the hype person is anyways. And it's like, well, this sucks. I'm going to have 45%, insert hype player T. Higgins. And it is what it is.
Who I was looking at my most owned player this morning. Who is your most owned player in Best Ball Mania?
Kenny Golladay.
Okay. Wow. I think I've drafted him a few times lately, but he is not one of my top guys. So he's what? Pretty much always there for you, like late fifth, early sixth?
Yeah, 100%. And it's that debate of who knows how this offense is going to perform wide receiver one versus a bunch of wide receiver twos in that spot, right? You're typically looking at all of the secondary wide receivers. And I just think that there's a little bit more upside with that true wide receiver one. And Daniel Jones says, look, I'm going to make you take him in the fifth round anyway. So maybe we'll talk about him then.
I did just hop into a draft here. It looks like we have a decent amount of spots. So people wanting to hop in, and you guys are very fast, and it is filled. Okay.
My gosh, the promo code Pete Crew is out for blood this morning.
This is the thing with these drafts. Okay, Willis gets the influencer 101. We got Corey 1-2. I see Tommy 015. It's always a friends and family draft. There's Clay 19. We got Jonathan 110. We got the 111 and DFS Texas 112. So this is what happens. These drafts are brutal, man. There's no easy ones in this one.
What did you say? We have 19?
We have 111.
Oh, great. Good. I'm okay. I'm okay with the turn.
Yeah.
I don't hate that at all.
And I've seen too, like, we're always in the eternal, zero RB, robust RB battle. It seems like you've kind of drifted to the zero RB dark side with us.
It just depends on where I'm picking, man. I'm a big fan of that hero or anchor RB. If you're 1.1 through 1.4, maybe 1.5, it really just depends on what happens. And then if you're picking towards the tail end of these drafts and Cam Akers and Austin Eckler are there, like I'm okay robust at that point. I really am, like, in just going running back with those first two picks. It honestly just depends.
Yeah, and I would say too, one thing in this specific draft room with all the guys from the Deposit Kingdom is wide receivers fly off the board.
Right.
They come at a premium versus your standard kind of slow draft or regular draft you hop in. So that's also another consideration here, where I would say, knowing this draft room and knowing where we're at, I would probably like to try to get a receiver and a running back at this turn.
We'll see who's there. I've tuned into one or two of these, and I don't know how much you like to hint prior to your picks, because it's just like, somebody's going to blow up their board just to have a little fun on a Monday morning, right? So
they love tormenting me. The thing is now I have enough of these under my belt. I think this is like, I have like 60 some completed, and I'm in 15 other slow drafts right now. So now I'm kind of comfortable. I'm not as flustered as easily as I was a month ago.
Good. Well, I'll let you lead the way. I've got about 20-ish Best Ball Manias under my belt, and all of them, except for one or two, have been slow drafts. So,
there you go. Yeah, the slow drafts, they're definitely tougher. People don't make as many mistakes, but they're fun. Okay, so let's see here. I think it's a little flat for wide receiver. So do you have a running back you prefer here? Do you like Cam Akers, right?
I like Akers and Eckler. I've actually been messing with their market shares of catches and rushes, and Eckler has been popping more for me. So if you want to take one, I would go with Eckler here.
Let's do Eckler. Yeah, because I know early on, the Akers propaganda was flowing from your account.
Yeah, I was like 105, like out of control stuff. And I want to be attached to that Rams offense. I really, really do, in multiple ways. And I think Akers is a great way to get there. I think Austin Eckler is honestly in just as good of a spot, especially with the projection in offensive line improvements for them. I mean, they could go from like a bottom 25 unit to a top 15 unit without a doubt.
I also like Eckler giving you other paths to Herbert, who is kind of the cheapest of the tier 1 quarterback tier. And so that sets up an easy stack, because we probably won't be able to get Keenan with this build. All right. So we're up here again. Eckler and Akers and Mixon all go. I'm generally taking Ridley or Hopkins here. Do you have a favorite?
I would lean with Ridley. I think he's an elite. So I think we could see Stephon Diggs type season out of him. I mean, true wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 from a fantasy points per game perspective, with the way that offense is shaping up.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I really like Ridley. It's for some reason it's been hard for me to pull the trigger on Devontae Adams, because I like Ridley and DeAndre Hopkins so much. Have you been getting much Adams?
Not in Best Ball Mania. In 3-mans, yes, because it's usually Tyreek and Diggs. And I'm usually tight end in a lot of my 3-mans. So then I end up with like Adams. But no, not in Best Ball Mania. I would actually have to go check my exact Adams exposure in the BBM.
This is also an interesting spot now for ADPs. Obviously, Keenan Allen isn't going to make it back to us. Kyle Pitts would be available most likely for us at 4-2 coming back. He won't be there at the end of the 5th. So that's another thing when you go with a Ridley. Are you prioritizing Pitts, trying to get that Atlanta stack, or are you kind of agnostic on Pitts even with Ridley?
No, I would be agnostic on it. Like I'm not entirely, I wouldn't force it. And that ADP is probably a little early. I think that'd be early for him, right?
Yeah, let's see where his ADP
I think
is.
He's middle of the 4th or like end of the 4th, right?
Pitts is right at the start of the 4th now, so he's like right in line with where our pick would be. Yeah,
look at how much Andrews has fallen. That's insane.
I know. There was the flippening with Hawkinson, and then I've started to come around a little bit on preferring Hawkinson too. I saw someone make a good point. Like, is there that big of a difference between Waller and Hawkinson? I mean, the whole thing I know Waller's probably a more talented guy, but even then, like, Hawkinson's a former first-round pick, extremely athletic, and has a path to massive volume like Waller. He seems like a nice arbitrage on that.
Also, I kind of feel like where Hawkinson's going is I'm usually just loading up on wide receivers, or probably my second running back at that point. So I think it might be a little bit of a weird spot. I would be okay with Pitts. I don't know if I would prioritize Kyle Pitts in the 3rd or 4th for us right there.
Have you been, so it sounds like you've been doing, I'm just guessing, more 3 tight end builds.
In the Best Ball Mania?
Yeah.
Or no, pretty fragile depending on the bye weeks. A lot of Hunter Henry, honestly, is what I have a ton of. So it really just depends on who's there, but I really will try and go a little bit more fragile and grab that 8th or 9th wide receiver rather than a 3rd tight end.
Yeah. I've definitely been going after trying to stay with 2 tight end builds and 2 quarterback builds as much as possible, just because I love having that extra roster spot to play with for either a 9th or 10th receiver. If there's a 5th running back I like, it's just, I like not having to use 3 at the onesie positions, especially with quarterback where you only one of them, at least with the tight end, a monster performance can sneak into your flex. Whereas the quarterback, that second one is just, or third one is going to be on your bench every week.
Look at Terry going before Michael Thomas, Amari Cooper, A-Rob. Where did AJ Brown go? Okay, he went before DK.
Yeah, AJ Brown. So FF Doom with a nice start there. Kamara, Brown, Kittle. Those starts are just nice because it gives you max flexibility in the middle rounds. You're not having to prioritize one specific position like that.
Have you been trying to leave every Best Ball Mania with a top 6 or 7 quarterback, basically all the rushers up until Russell?
Yeah, I really like getting it. Initially, I was kind of prioritizing it. Now I'm letting it come to me. I am getting a lot of Russ because I like that team. I like Everett and even Eskridge as a late flyer. And now that he's sliding, like I can sometimes get Russ at pick 80. And so knowing that people like aren't as in love with him, I haven't been forcing the quarterbacks as much, just knowing he's there. And then there's still Hurts as a backstop the next round after that if you want to go that route.
Yeah, I think the Eagles are in a good spot. I like Hurts. Their strength of schedule projects great if you look at like Elo and you do Monte Carlo Sims for like a true strength of schedule. And Hurts is so cheap.
Yeah. Okay, so we're at the turn here. DFS Texas starts with 2 running backs. He's probably looking at a wide receiver here. I feel like there's lots of different directions we can go. We do have Pitts in our back pocket if we want him at 4-2. Who do you like here?
I'm gonna let you take this. I would none of these running backs in any way, shape, or form.
I'm probably just gonna take Amari here.
Yeah.
I prefer Lamb now to Amari, but I still think that people might be just reacting a smidge too much to kind of some of his health stuff. I think he's going to be good to go by the time the season starts, and so I have no problem getting Amari as our number 2 here.
Well, yeah, and I mean let's get 16 or 17 games out of Dak this year, right? I mean that offense should be. I think it's right up there with Arizona. Like they could lead the league in pace, no questions asked. And that's obviously not breaking news or anything, but those are pieces that I want a part of, especially when you have those 2 true 1A, 1B type wide receivers.
Yeah. So yeah, this is another kind of weird spot. You can see with this draft room, there's 4 running backs here that generally aren't here at this point in the draft, but our draft room heavily prioritizing wide receivers. Talk through what you're thinking here.
Yeah, so for me, the only running back here that I would even consider taking is Mike Davis. I think he's probably one of the true 18 touch running backs here out of all of these running backs. Maybe Chris Carson, but I really don't want to mess with any of those other running backs. And then for me, I probably would That's. I
was just doing it real quick in case.
No, that's the pick. Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, and so I agree with you. I don't really want to take one of those running backs. I have been taking like Dobbins there if he's falling. Like I guess it would have been like an 8-pick slide. Like I just don't end up with a ton of exposure. So sometimes I take advantage of these opportunities to get a guy that I'm never going to get otherwise. But for our team and the structure wise, this now frees us up to only go 2 tight ends. We set up the Matt Ryan stack later, and we get, the 2 highest projected target share guys on the Falcons. So I like what this does for kind of our build.
Agreed. It also gives us optionality between Dak and Herbert as they potentially look to come around towards the tail end of the 5th and the 6th. where we can go Dak, Cooper. We have Eckler. We can get Mike Williams in the what is he like, ADP 85 or something like that?
Yeah, although he keeps inching up, man.
I know.
Every day.
The whole offense is in a great spot. A great coaching change. You look at as far as like a schedule is concerned, they're not bad. Like, look, I think looking at strength of schedule is, I don't know, probably splitting hairs or doing tiebreakers at this point. But I do think it's important when you talk about strength of schedule for a team like the Dolphins, who are like top 5, and a lot of those guys are super cheap, like Gaskin and Tua and Gesicki and those guys. And Will Fuller's cheap, versus taking guys who are like on the lines of the Bears, like Montgomery or Swift, who project to have like a extremely hard schedule.
Yeah.
All of this could change 6 weeks in, but all I'm saying is like, it just helps me make some of these decisions of, one, I really don't want a running back in this running back dead zone anyway. So why am I taking 2 guys who project to have an extremely tough strength of schedule and have slight competition for touches? So
yeah, it is a hard thing too. There is this year definitely a much higher awareness of the playoff schedules. In particular, people are looking at these matchups. They're already playing for stacks, and rightfully so. Like, we're trying to take on variants to win these mini tournaments throughout the playoffs. But yeah, the strength of schedule thing is hard. I like looking too at like some things that we can control. Like, is it a dome game? You know, like, we know that weather is not going to be an issue. We know that for a fact. So just some of those things that we for sure can take into account. And it's also why everyone loves that Dallas-Arizona game in week 17, because it's 2 great offenses. We know weather's not going to be an issue. It's like, fire the cannons.
100%. Are you more concerned about your schedule for weeks, 15 and 16? To advance, because that's where the money hits, is in week 17, right? There's no money in 15 or 16. Or are you basically playing for bust here? Like 150 teams, I just want a top 3 outcome in any way, shape, or form. I don't care if I get 10 grand or whatever. Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Real quick here, just a massive slide for Miles Sanders there. I've never seen him fall into the mid 5th, and he's scooping up that value. So we are going to be on the clock here in a second. I think we can wait, still coming back at the turn, to pick a Dak or Herbert, depending on what Clay and Jonathan do here. We're still in that range where I don't mind continuing to wait on running back, but I also don't mind some of these options here. If we were to go wide receiver, obviously there's some good ones here.
It's Robbie Anderson for me, for what it's worth.
Yeah, I like Robbie a lot. I think he's undervalued. And then the only thing would be, we're technically reaching by ADP to get Robbie. Would we want to try to scoop the running back value? I feel like you can make a case either way. Are any of these running backs priority targets for you?
None of them are priority targets. Gaskin is actually the only guy who I would consider, since Mike Davis went back when Chris Carson went. I'm not big on the Javonte Williams hype train. Look, I know he's got draft capital equity and, front office type of talk for Javonte Williams, but Melvin Gordon, they gave him like $8 million. Like, he's still going to be involved. So I'm not touching a running back here. I'm legit so for me, I'm actually not going to say it because I think your room is sharp enough to pay attention to it, but there's a running back who I would love as our second running back coming up.
Okay. So we did draft Robbie, which I'm completely fine doing there. I think sometime in this spot, I might have taken a stab on like ETN. He's a guy where I'm just like weeks 15 through 17. Maybe he, has that Jonathan Taylor like massive push at the end of the season. I don't mind stabs on him, but structurally, I like the idea of now we get our choice here of Dak and Herbert. I'm trying to think who has the better chance of making it to us, Gallup or Mike Williams. We might not even be able to get either of them. Is Mike Williams already? No, Mike Williams is down there. No. We probably have a better chance. Who do you prefer of these two?
Dak, for sure. Okay. Are you talking quarterbacks? It's Dak. It's not. Yeah, that's as much as I love the Chargers and their potential this year. It's 100% Dak, and I think this is a more than appropriate spot for him.
Yeah, I am with you. I think this is a nice spot. We get him stacked up there. We still have Gallup as an out if he falls back to us. We also can mess around with the tight ends later. We can entertain Pollard to add to our stack. So I think there's lots of outs, and it doesn't, preclude us from, drafting Mike Williams still as well.
Yeah, I actually really like Pollard now that we're getting more pieces of that offense. I think Zeke is absolutely within contention for a top 7 to top 10 type running back with upside for top 5. I really don't think he'll finish inside the top 5. He's honestly not a guy who I have a lot of. I have big concerns over the offense. I'm a sucker for offensive lines. I absolutely think you need to have a good offensive line for good running back production. So I think Pollard is a guy who, 1, has standalone value, as everyone knows. 2, if Zeke goes through something, I think Pollard ends up being one of those guys who got an extremely late ADP and all of a sudden is on like 30% of teams who advance to the playoffs, right? Like he's that type of a player.
Yeah. I'm with you. I think Pollard is like, he just checks all of those boxes as far as who are guys that could be a top 5 running back through the fantasy playoffs if things broke his way. I mean, we could go through so many of these, if Joe Mixon goes down, like that's going to be a committee with P. Ryan and Chris Evans, and there'll probably be a third back there. Like, I think we're all pretty confident if Zeke goes down, Pollard is getting 20 plus touches.
Yeah, man. Look, when you get late breaking news on a Sunday morning that all of a sudden Zeke is inactive because he got suspended for something stupid in week 8, I can't wait to eat Pollard up at $4,800 on DraftKings for 22 touches. Like he really is that type of a player where he's so electric.
Yeah, and he just has that blend too, where it's because we know he's probably going to already have a default role of catching a few balls a game. Like I think they've seen previously that they want to get him some touches. And then it's like, it's almost the Kareem Hunt Chubb situation, a lighter version where it's like you get Kareem Hunt in a bell cow role is going to be worth more than Nick Chubb in a bell cow role because 100%. He's not having to fend with the other part of the backfield.
100%. And look, best ball spike weeks, right? I mean, Pollard is absolutely within his range of outcomes to have a 16-point game because he took a 60-yarder to the house off a screen pass on 3rd and 12 and Zeke was out or whatever.
Yeah. And I mean, the thing I've really been trying to work on this year, and I know everyone watching has heard me say this before, of like just not getting too in love with a specific player at that range of the draft. Like, yes, Tony Pollard is like my preferred running back in that range, but yeah, I want to mix in Zach Moss and I'm mixing in James Conner and like these type of running backs going there, just knowing I like that pocket of the draft. I might be wrong on Tony Pollard, but I don't want to be wrong on this structure. Okay, this is going to be an interesting spot coming up here. Another running back sliding. I never see Kareem Hunt this late. He's 17 picks after ADP. This room hates running backs, Ryan.
I don't disagree with them. There's a running back who I wouldn't mind taking at that 8.2 or whatever we have. What is that? I don't know how you feel about him, but I do think he is, if things fall right, he should be closer to like running back 20. And his current ADP is like running back 31 or something along those lines.
Okay. I don't know if I know off the top of my head who you're referencing, but I am very much intrigued. I think we're probably in agreement that we want to take a wide receiver at this spot, right?
Yeah, let's take a look at our available queue.
Yep. Let's see. I just want to make sure how many picks we have. Chenault goes there. We have Clay and Corey. Let's see. So Jonathan has the pure 0 RB star, Allen to Diggs, and then Hopkins, Julio, Chase, Judy, 6 start there. Let's see. So tight end, we're good with Pitts. Quarterback, this isn't arranged to take quarterbacks. Just double checking everything. Running back, Sermon and Mostert, I think, are interesting here. I have a guy I really want, so I'm just hoping Jonathan doesn't take him, but he's going to do whatever he wants regardless. see what he does here. Is he going to take his first stab? I feel like with a 0 RB build, Sermon is a nice first running back here. I've taken some Michael Carter here.
Well, I don't understand like these. Who did he took Sermon?
So Mike Williams is our guy, right?
So this is where I would take Mike Williams. I think we might lose a running back to Jonathan though. So yeah, I'm okay with Mike Williams here too.
Yeah. So Jonathan picks after us. So
DFS, he does. That's right. He just picked before us.
In Texas is definitely a liability for a wide receiver here.
Great. Take Mike. I don't have a preference to a lot of these wide receivers. If we had Herbert, I would prioritize Mike Williams. I don't think it's super crucial that you need the quarterback as part of your stack, especially with us at least getting Dak and Amari there.
Yeah. And so I like just continuing rounding out a small bet on the Chargers here with Eckler and Mike Williams. And you can see with both the Robbie pick and the Mike Williams pick, we've been having to reach ahead of ADP, but the ADP is almost irrelevant in this specific draft because we're all drafted. I mean, wide receivers should in general go higher than running backs in drafts. At almost every point in the draft, they on average score more points. So it makes sense. I think we're in just a more efficient room here. All right. Who's the running back you were eyeing?
Damian Harris.
Ooh, okay. I like it. Talk to me about Damian Harris. He's the pick.
So I think one, fantastic offensive line. I mean, top 3 unit. So it looks great. 2, James White is a guy who I don't mind taking at the end of drafts. But he's also a guy who the Patriots weren't overly eager to bring back. He sat in free agency for a little bit, kind of took him a while to bring back. This is just speculation. And then 2, it's the Cam Newton versus Mac Jones. Like, when does Mac get the start? Is it week? Does he crush OTAs and Cam hurts his ankle, or he continues his hand injury that he has and he gets to start week 1? Or is it like week 4 or 5 whenever they play Houston, right? I think that's the big talk. After they play the Bucs, which I think they play the Bucs in week 4. So I think Jones then gets a start, and that takes goal line touches away from Cam and gives them to Damian Harris, who they went out and got, and he's a big running. He profiles for goal line. So he's just a guy who I think genuinely has 18 to 20 touch upside week in and week out. And if their pace of play picks up to a little bit closer to 15 or 10, I think that he's a true workhorse back, or at least has the opportunity to. And at that spot in the draft, that's where I'm looking to take that second running back who truly can be an every week starter.
Yeah, I completely agree too about this for our structure in this pot. That's a running back pick for me. I also like Trey Sermon and Michael Carter in that range, or other guys, but I have started sprinkling in Harris. I think everything you said makes a lot of sense to me. I think what we need for this pick to work is for New England to just be a little bit better than expected, because I do think still if they're losing games, it's hard.
And he's toast.
He's toast. But if they play the kind of football they want with these 2 tight end sets, the jacked up offensive line, and they get some good game scripts, I mean, Damian Harris, like you said, has a clear path to 18 to 20 touches a game and that a lot of goal line work. So he's the kind of fragile running back pick that I think complements, an early running back pick nicely.
Yeah. So that's the guy who I'm leaving a lot of drafts with when I end up going running back and then 6 wide receivers. And then, I'll target him right around that 8 spot. Yeah,
for sure. And again, that's the thing. It's when you build this way, you're in a running back zone, and then it's I'm not going to draft 100% Damian Harris. I'm not going to draft 100% Michael Carter at every spot here. I'm going to spread my bets out, knowing that there's probably a league winner. If you let me bet on Trey Sermon, Harris, and Carter, I would say I bet one of those is a smash pick down the stretch. Yeah. I don't know which one it is, but we're going to draft a shit ton of these teams and hope we get the puzzle pieces right on one of them.
Yeah, the Mostert and Trey Sermon conversation is definitely a difficult one, because 1, you don't take both. I think you're giving up way too much equity and way too much upside. And 2, they're just so close in ADP. Like you're literally just picking one. Like there isn't, you don't just say like, oh, I'm going to take the cheap one, because neither of them offer a discount.
Yeah, for sure. So this is another thing too. Justin asking about Ramondre Stevenson, who's basically free in these drafts, a rookie that they drafted. What are your thoughts on him?
I truly, I think you might be digging too deep or galaxy braining at that point. Like, is he really gonna? I guess it's tough because in Best Ball Mania, like you really are looking for at that spot somebody who can start winning weeks for you. And so if he does eat into his workload and he goes from 18 touches to 12 touches, like that is a big deal, especially with James White still running routes. So
yeah, and I mean,
I'm not overly concerned about it though.
I don't mind Ramondre as like a late round dart, but I mean, when have we ever seen like Bill Belichick really commit to a rookie running back? It's so hard for these guys to curry favor in that offense. Right. So yeah, I think it's probably pretty thin. You're more looking for an injury kind of thing, which could obviously happen. But yeah, I don't think Ramondre necessarily impacts Harris's role early on. Okay, we're on the clock. Pollard did go. Clay took him, which is brutal here. What do you see? And we see some running backs here as well. Wide receiver is starting to get thin here. What jumps out to you?
Corey Davis still available?
Let's see.
He's a guy who I think I'm typically targeting somewhere right around here.
Not. We got 6 seconds here. I'm gonna put Elijah Moore just in the queue.
Great.
Great.
Just that's a hype guy.
He is. It is a hype guy. We're again having to draft him a little bit ahead of ADP. I was just going like, if you like the Jets and Corey Davis isn't here, I do feel pretty good about Elijah Moore.
Yeah, no, I think Elijah Moore is more than fine there. I honestly might start to round out a Russell Gage right around this spot. I don't know if that's a little too early.
I think Gage might have gone.
Did he? These rooms are too sharp, dude. Because I think
Gage is gone.
I think it's ahead of his ADP.
So we could go. I think Connor, Moss, Jones. I feel like any of those guys are fine if we want to add another running back. We got 6 seconds.
You take it, whichever one.
Let's do Zach Moss. I was gonna go Connor, but I'm like, I want a little younger meat on the running back bone here after Eckler and Harris. See if we could get any kind of like breakout potential there. But again, this is that range of the draft. I probably have equals exposure to Moss, Connor, Rojo in this range, and we get a slight discount.
You didn't mention Fournette in any of that.
No.
And you talk about a team who is going to be up in pace, fantastic schedule, a lot of touchdown equity. You're banking on Rojo and who's the other guy?
Gio Bernard.
And Gio just eating too much into that, and there's not enough touchdown equity for you because I feel like best case scenario, he falls in the end zone a handful of times, more than expected, or like.
So my thing with Fournette, and I'm able to just put aside my player biases of not liking Fournette, but it just goes back to that thing of we can deal with two-way running back committees. Like I think the Zach Moss, Devin Singletary, I think both of those guys could pay off at current ADP. I do truly think that that's going to be a 3-headed running back committee in Tampa Bay. I mean, all the camp news about Gio, I think he is going to be a James White light, even just in the kind of Dare Agubawale role where he doesn't come off the field in third downs and hurry up stuff. I think that's going to be a thing. I think they still love Ronald Jones on early downs. And so then it's just, we need the piece of this offensive pie to be really big for all of those guys to have some consistency. But yeah, so that's, to me, that's the hard part, is just being a true 3-way running back committee.
Okay. I don't blame you. I'm curious as to, I feel like the playoff run that they went on, like, could absolutely continue with Fournette, and it just seems like a very cheap spot to take a bet. I just feel like you're getting good odds on a half decent outcome there.
I will tell you, so, Hodge, you have my permission. We can snap Fournette up if he falls to us at 11-11 here.
You know he's going to with this room.
Yeah, this room despises Letty Fournette. It's so funny. The ADPs in this draft, like relative to the normal ones, is just so out of whack.
All right, let's get some guys in our queue. Just so we can be more prepared than those last two picks, because I was like, oh, I don't know, just take them, Pete. I have no idea.
I know. I'm doing my sweep here. We can also start, we do have Matt Ryan in our back pocket. I think we're fine there to go 2 QBs if we are able to get Matt Ryan.
Their buys don't line up, do they? I always have to check.
Oh, that's a good call. Matt Ryan is 6. Yeah.
Perfect.
So I think we're definitely still needing to, wide receiver has gotten so unbelievably gross. There are some, I don't think, we could, I think Aguilar's not a bad pick if we're making a bet on the Pats here. And we don't mind Aguilar. I think that's a decent bet just based on his availability here. I think anything else standing out for you as far as wide receivers? I know it's super gross.
I don't think so. I think I would prioritize a slight reach on Matt Ryan over one of those wide receivers.
Yeah, I say I'm with you. I say we lock up Matt Ryan. It also sets us up to get Olamide Zacchaeus later if we want to go with a full-on triple stack.
Onslaught.
Let's do, I like that here. We lock him up. So now we're good at quarterback. And then I do think just with wide receivers flying off the shelves here, I would say like Aguilar, Traquan Smith, Christian Kirk, even Emmanuel Sanders. Anything stand out there?
Denzel stands out to me more than everyone that you just talked about.
Yeah, I've been trying to like chill my exposure, but we already have a bet on the Jets with Elijah Moore, and I like him too. I sometimes try to play the ADP game a little bit. Just seeing like Aguilar has like a 40 spread.
I'm totally good with Nelson.
Let's do Nelson just because I think there's a much better chance we could get Mims coming back.
You have your rankings imported here because I'm seeing
these
guys
are
ADP.
Yeah, these are the ETR rankings I have loaded in here.
Awesome.
And I sometimes I tease Leone because for a while it was Rashad Penny who was staring at me in every draft, and now it's Denzel
you have
Mims.
to go manually.
I need to see
Penny down.
Because there has been, since I haven't re-uploaded the ranks in about a week, I should probably see, but there's been enough chatter out of the Jets camp of Mims is kind of their 4th wide receiver right now, and he's even competing with Keelan Cole for snaps. And basically everything the team's saying is you're having Corey Davis out wide and Elijah Moore's playing out wide, Jamison Crowder in the slot, and then we're probably going to get some kind of gross rotation between Keelan Cole and Denzel Mims after that. That said, I'm with you. Like, I love Denzel Mims, the air yards king. Zach Wilson can get it down the field to him, but it's tough.
Yeah, I really wait for the next month of July to really settle into a lot of the news and stuff like that. Like, I understand what beats are saying, but there's also a part of me where like these guys have to report something. Yeah. So I put a little stock into it, but I also honestly I think some of it is super noisy.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's it is definitely very noisy, and I would prefer to use the information like the other way of like, oh, maybe I should be taking Keelan Cole in the last round when I draft Zach Wilson, as opposed to like overreacting more using those. Like, I saw a report about Jerick McKinnon in that he might have a bigger role than people kind of envisioned and catch some passes. I'm like, maybe I should need to start sprinkling in some Jerick McKinnon at the end of my drafts versus like you're saying, let's not wildly overreact to somebody that's already kind of have an established pedigree.
Agreed.
Yeah, I want Denzel Mims to be a thing so bad. I'm just like, I'm just worried he might not be good, but I hope I'm wrong.
Look at Fitzpatrick going at, what was that, 11 or 12 dot whatever.
13-2. Corey notoriously loves his quarterbacks. He sets up a 4 QB build here, so he's just getting started.
Does he really play 4 quarterbacks all cheap?
So
that's out of control.
He did in like 1 or 2 drafts do it, and now he's established it as his personal brand, and he's a fraud if he doesn't take 4 quarterbacks.
Love it. He needs to lock it up with Mac Jones and somebody else super cheap at the end.
Look at this. Look at when you look at the available queue. This is what happens in this draft. It's all running backs.
Running backs.
I mean,
there's actually one that I don't hate there. It kind of depends on how we want to continue to structure our builds, because what do we have, 3 running backs right now? So we'd honestly be looking at taking our last running back and then all wide receivers from here on out.
Yep. And then the other thing, you said you've been liking Hunter Henry, and I think we're going to definitely be in a pocket here if we want to continue to make a big bet on the Pats with Harris, Aguilar, and one of the tight ends. I think that could potentially be our second tight end if we want to go that route.
I'm 100% good with that. Honestly, that whole section of tight ends is really just like throwing a little bit of a dart to me. But Hunter Henry is a guy who's a great pass catcher. They look to run a lot of 2 tight end sets. I think he's going to see a lot of snaps. And at that point in the draft, I just want as many opportunities and get my guys to be on the field as much as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't drafted a lot of the Patriots tight ends, mainly because I've been doing a lot of 2 tight end builds with the one early, and then I get a guy even later than that. Okay. But I should start mixing those guys in. And I do agree. I think I prefer Henry, I think, to Jonnu Smith, even though there's about a 15 pick gap there. Look at this, man. Demarcus Robinson. And I'm not even saying that's like a bad pick.
Gosh.
But it's just like the state of the wide receivers in this draft right now.
So we're definitely taking a wide receiver here, right?
Well,
because there's about 3 running backs that I would be totally fine with if they ended up falling to us right there.
Hodge, I think we should take Melvin Gordon 40 picks after ADP here.
All right, do it.
I just think that slide's a little ridiculous.
Slam it.
I mean, this is like, if the room is going to give us Melvin Gordon at pick 155,
I don't hate him in that spot. I just talked about how I don't like Javonte Williams. Like, I don't like him at his price because of Melvin Gordon. So I'm totally fine with it.
All right, so we're definitely in wide receiver tight end mode here. All the tight ends at the top. So we could go with one of the Pats tight ends and then just spend the rest of the draft hitting wide receivers.
I'm okay with that. I mean, what is that? Well, take a look at our wide receivers.
The only
other, my gosh,
it's so bad.
Maybe Slayton and Olamides or something like I'm just taking a look at our available wide receivers from here on out.
I mean, we are just throwing darts. We are going the volume route no matter what happens. But what do you think about just locking up our tight end? You do prefer Henry to Jonnu?
I don't look. I honestly think you're splitting hairs, but I'm okay taking Jonnu if you prefer Jonnu. Like I genuinely think that you're playing tight end lottery with either one of them.
Yeah, no, I agree. We did take Henry. So I think at this point in our draft, like we now know, I think we have what, 4 picks left. And I think I guess we could maybe do another running back at some point, but I think we need to hit wide receiver hard here to finish out.
I agree.
And some things that I like to start doing, like with a build like this specifically, is, okay, we know we don't like the wide receivers available. It's depleted. I think Olamide is a guy we can keep on our radar with the stacks. But now I like to start looking at the schedules a little bit and being like, okay, we have a big bet on the Falcons. So they play San Francisco, Detroit, in Buffalo. So, okay, maybe Amon-Ra St. Brown gets a little bump because we start to just build a little stacks knowing like, if we take down this tournament, it's going to be because Atlanta is red hot in the playoffs. So that's the kind of stuff I start thinking about. Dallas plays Giants, Washington, Arizona. So Darius Slayton, another Slayton as a bring back. So that's how I start to think about it, just to help me break some of these ties.
I think that is a phenomenal way of looking at it, because anyone is lying to themselves if they think that somebody here can predict which one of these wide receivers is going to have. Like, you're genuinely just playing variance, and using schedule is a great way to help you make decisions like that.
Yeah, and it's like you said, I have no confidence. I think I saw Herzig in the chat. Last year, one of the key things that helped him win was the 2-touchdown game from KJ Hamler, who was this pint-sized, rookie who wasn't seeing a lot of playing time, but at the very right time, he had the big game you needed. And I think there's guys like that this year. Like, no one wants Tutu Atwell, right? Like the really small receiver rookie on the Rams. But would it be crazy if he had a 2-touchdown game in week 16? I don't think it would be.
No, exploiting variance and honestly taking guys who are just available because they're not being hyped up, I think is the right way to go here. Like, getting a little bit unique. You absolutely have to have it. This entire Best Ball Mania tournament is about getting to the playoffs, and then you're playing, 3 or 4 separate individual tournaments every week just to try and get to the money, right?
Yep. And we can't even talk about scrub wide receivers without them going. So FF Doom takes Olamide in the 14th. Ahmad-Ra St. Brown go. I mean, it is tough out here, Hodge.
Is Brown available? Diami Brown on Washington?
Let's see here. I'm pretty sure he went.
Yeah, I would assume that he did, just because of this room.
So I will say I do like Hamler here. I think Slayton makes sense for us.
Slayton makes sense for us.
He
was the first guy who I saw.
Yeah, for sure. People don't like taking Slayton anymore, but he also seems for a lock to have like a couple games with some big plays. I was going to say too, where are you at on Charger? Because you've been doing a lot of Herbert stacks. Yeah. Chargers wide receiver 3, because there's kind of a carousel there.
I think it's probably Josh Palmer as a rookie, but this is where I would default to you on somebody who's paying a lot more attention to the minicamp news and stuff like that, and who's actually getting snaps and where they're lining up. But I think it's Josh Palmer for sure.
Yeah. The beats seem to think that Tyron Johnson is going to start there, but obviously I think the guy with the most upside end of season is Palmer.
Yeah. What are on it? And this is where, like, I mean, you're somebody who reads a lot of RotoViz. Like, how do those guys profile? Like, this isn't something that I typically start to look at until maybe July, August. I don't know their height, their body. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't know a lot about Tyron Johnson's profile. I don't think he's as exciting. Palmer, I think, had a more exciting athletic profile, with just lacking some of the production. But I'm not a prospect whiz either. I just, in general, it's like, who is the guy that could break out at end of the season there? I do think we grab. Let's grab Slayton here.
Okay.
We need wide receivers. I believe he's a guy I do prefer in best ball compared to managed leagues. Are you allowed to say that you prefer Darius Slayton in best ball formats?
Yeah, right. It's the best ball points.
I actually, for as much, I think what happened in this draft is the wide receiver like tier break happens so quickly, but since like round 13 to now, like all of these guys are like in the same tier. So oddly, they don't even feel as gross as maybe I thought they would, because it's just the same tiers for the past 3 rounds.
What is Vegas's schedule for that playoff?
Vegas has at Cleveland, home versus Denver, and at Indiana.
Oh, okay. So not entirely appealing.
So one, I do like Hamler here. They play the Chargers in the last round too of the playoffs, that week 17, and I think Hamler is a nice pick here.
Yeah, I think that's perfect. He's definitely a guy like him. Hunter Renfrow, and then due to our current construction, Josh Palmer are probably all guys that I would take ahead of their ADP. I mean, at this point, like all of these guys are ahead of their ADP because of how this room has gone. But
yeah. So now that we have 2 more picks, we got our construction 2, 4, 8, 2. I think we're both in agreement. We're good at 2 quarterbacks, 2 tight ends with this build. And I think we both agree we're going to do at least 1 more wide receiver. Where are you at with this construction as far as going 4-10 or 5-9?
Probably 4-10. I love the running backs that we have. I really do. I think every single one of them has massive touchdown equity. And that's all that you're looking for. Melvin Gordon might rush for 44 yards, but he could literally fall in the end zone twice on any given week.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think because of there's different drafts where you take your running back at pick 155 in this context where I think maybe you need to go 5 running backs, but getting a 40 pick slide on Melvin Gordon,
yes,
I think it frees us up to just double tap wide receiver to finish here.
100%. And I really like, honestly, we're just banking on Kyle Pitts not sucking.
Yeah. Yes.
So I don't think there's a reason to tag a third end or a third tight end there. I think you're giving up too much equity by going a tight end over a wide receiver.
Yep, I'm with you there. I'm just checking some of the schedule stuff. I'm seeing if there's anyone. So Atlanta schedule, San Francisco, Detroit, Buffalo. We do have now the Denver stuff. So they play Cincy, Las Vegas, and the Chargers.
Vegas and the Chargers aren't bad for that week 16, 17.
Yeah. Let's see here. So Josh Palmer did go, and Tyrod Johnson. You guys are sick. Who took Tyron Johnson? Willis? You're taking Tyron Johnson? Willis, you better have Justin Herbert. Yes, you do. Okay, thank God.
Okay, all right. That makes me feel a little bit better because I mean that guy's like has an ADP of 220 or something ridiculous. Like I don't even know what Tyron's is.
We're not drafting Jalen Guyton. That's a bridge too far.
Is it though?
Get out of here. I'm not. We need points, not cardio. Okay. This is where we really get to go. So Amari Rodgers for Green Bay at this stage of the draft, I do not hate. We don't have any schedule overlap for them. They played Baltimore, Cleveland, Minnesota. Let's see here. Any of these other names standing out? I mean, Cordero Patterson could be that other Atlanta guy if we want, in that I wouldn't be surprised to see him get 3 to 4 carries again.
No, I'm absolutely. So this wide receiver range is actually insane for me. I don't think I've ran into a draft where I'm looking this deep at wide receivers. So CPAT just for the Atlanta stack is exactly what I would do here. I don't want like washed up Randall Cobbs. D-Jax in the Rams offense. And you talk about a high-paced offense, but I still hard pass.
Yeah, I mean it is really tough. I think the thing, there's a couple players like this, the Patterson, where you are maybe getting a little hidden running back boost there, and considering our structure needs wide receivers. I've done it the flip with. I've done a little Lynn Bowden late on the Dolphins, where he's actually tagged as a running back in the system, and I think he'll be more of like a gadget wide receiver type guy for them. So sometimes if I need a few more running back slots, but I haven't gotten a good stack with Tua, like Bowden would be a guy I mix in there. So it's nice to kind of exploit some of that stuff if it works in your structure's favor.
Yeah, I think for our roster, I would absolutely take CPAT here. Remember when he was such a darling on Minnesota? Like everyone wanted exposure to CPAT in some way, shape, or form.
Seriously. Let's scroll through here. Okay, this is just like a random one that I've been reading about, and I know we've talked about being careful with training camp news. I keep hearing a ton about Donovan Peoples-Jones, the second-year wide receiver in Cleveland.
Talk to me about it.
He's just he's gone. Why you talk about it? He's gone. DFS Texas literally took him as I was starting my soliloquy. You guys are sick.
That's out of control. You need to put this on a delay. Can you delay StreamYard the way you can delay Twitch?
I need to be able to. These guys.
Even just like 10 to 20 seconds.
Yeah. Who do you want?
No, you click. Preston Williams. I like that. Like, I don't even know, man.
Let's do Preston. I'm fine. I haven't been drafting him a ton, and yeah, let's just do it. I mean, at this point, it really does not matter.
It's out of control. What an insane draft, dude. How do you do these every week?
You guys say it's delayed. It's like the natural streaming delay. Hodge is talking about a built-in delay. I think there's like a 20-second just like natural streaming delay. We're talking about like a 5-minute delay. Guys.
Yeah, like when guys grind poker and they stream their streams, they'll do like a 30-minute delay on their hands and stuff. That's like
yeah. I want to see some of the wide receivers that are being drafted around this range here. So we got a Tutu Atwell. We have Amari Rodgers, Byron Pringle, Travis Fulgham, Anthony Miller, Marquez Callaway, Tyron Johnson. I mean, everyone is having to really dust off their wide receiver depth chart knowledge today.
Yeah, we're gonna see like N'Keal Harry go for New England, or like, I mean, this is ridiculous.
It really is. That said, like we talk about this a lot, right? Like we got to take what the room gives us. We got to make smart structures relative to what we did early on. And I think we accomplished that. This was definitely a team we needed 10 wide receivers on, and we got there.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of enjoying our running back picks there, which is exactly what you just said. Drafting in this type of a room, just letting them slide. I mean, every single one of those has fantastic touchdown equity. So I think they're great.
Yeah. And I would say, again, too, and I always think this after doing these specific drafts, like you could make a case that this would have been a room to go wide receiver with the Eckler pick, come away with like, Adams and Ridley or Hopkins and Ridley, just knowing that there were going to be these extreme running back values at almost every other point in the draft.
It's okay. Week by week, you're learning your rooms. So honestly, which is great. Like this will help you diversify your roster construction and your portfolio naturally as you look to max this thing. So I think it's great. And there might be some hidden gem of teams in here that you weren't expecting to walk away with.
I know it is true. And that's like it's funny now in the Discord because we always say no one even invites each other into drafts anymore because none of us want to draft with each other. These guys we do the Monday morning stream. We've all kind of committed to that. But for the most part, we're like, okay, we're not drafting with each other. Let's go pick on everyone else.
Yes, 100%, man. Well, you got a good thing going here, dude. That was fun.
Awesome. Yeah, let's just do a quick final rundown of our team. We can take a look at there's my exposures there. Let's see. I want to pull up this draft again here. Okay, yeah, Hodge, give us a quick, we've kind of talked about our team. We'll look at a couple other teams too, but give us your final kind of takeaway here of what we did.
Yeah, so Atlanta stack, I think, is something that we prioritized almost right off the bat with Calvin Ridley. And then we due to our pick, we knew that Kyle Pitts we were going to be able to get him at about ADP, which I think is great. So that really set us up. And then from there it was, we still stacked the Chargers, but without their quarterback. And I think there's been a lot of talk about just getting exposures to teams and not having to really worry about getting your quarterback stack, even if you still want a lot of exposure to that team, because Dak and Matt Ryan can still have a great week that week at quarterback, while Eckler or Mike Williams, whoever goes off as part of a Chargers offense explosion week in 6, 7, 8, whatever the week might be. So, and then from there we took what this insane room gave us. Melvin Gordon, what did you say? He fell 40 picks below ADP?
Yeah, 42 picks.
Yeah, and we took our second running back at what pick in the 8th round, I think, right? Which I think that's typically how I'm walking away from a lot of these builds anyways. If I have a turn pick similar to what we had here, I might go running back in a normal best ball mania, but you knew that wide receivers were going to fly and they absolutely did. So I like this construction. The Robbie Anderson and Mike Williams might be two of my favorite picks that we came away with.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like you said, by ADP, we had to reach there, but it was adjusted to the room. It was right at ADP.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and look, picking at the turn, ADP kind of goes out the window a little bit because you really are like, I don't care if I'm picking a guy 7-8 spots ahead of his ADP because I know he won't be there, and I might have him projected better than everyone else in that spot. So ADP, whatever.
Yeah. Okay. I don't have time to, it's everyone wants their team reviewed. Let's do a couple here. And then I need to go finish the Fantasy Life newsletter, and Hodge needs to go do some kettlebell swings in his garage, I'm guessing. That people wanted us to review Corey's team. He did slow down and didn't take a fourth QB here. Dalvin Cook, Aaron Jones, Connor. Okay, so he was the guy drafting running backs in this room. James Conner, McKissick, Chuba, McLaurin, Higgins, Golladay, Sutton, Samuel, Waddle, Renfro, Jakeem Grant, and then Logan Thomas, Evan Ingram. What is your thoughts on this team here?
Man after my own heart with taking Kenny G about 10 spots ahead of his ADP. Love to see that. Big fan of that. I think that this is great. I think he has two quarterbacks there who are in a profile for higher pace of games. And I love pace of play. That is like one of the biggest metrics that I look at. And I think he has two quarterbacks and fits in two of there. And then his stack with Terry McLaurin, I have Terry McLaurin very close to Calvin Ridley this year. As far as when I bump up his expected red zone targets, which he just lacked last year. So, and then from there, brought it back with Logan Thomas. So he really did nail that Washington stack, which I love. I think it's one of my favorite stacks to go after this year because Terry's probably the only expensive guy.
Yeah, he nails all the stacks. The Fitzpatrick double stack to the tight ends. He has the Daniel Jones double stack to Ingram and Golladay. He has the Tua, even tossed in the Jakeem Grant there. My only quibble is I'm going 9 wide receivers with this build. I'm not taking Chuba Hubbard. I think with Cook, Jones, and Connor, and then McKissick giving you a little bit of a floor there, I think you're good with 4 running backs, and I probably want just one more wide receiver. Or I might do my move like I was talking about and go Lynn Bowden there, where I'm getting another potential option with Tua and getting that 5th running back that's actually a wide receiver. But for the most part, I like this team. Let's see. Don't you have time? Aren't you unemployed? I have to go write a newsletter, Drico, that I get paid to write. So
Matthew Berry is essentially one of your direct, or you directly report to him. So you have a boss.
Yeah. So, being unemployed isn't all that it's cut out to be. So just relax. Let's look at one more. All of you guys want me to review your team. So I'm just going to pick one at random here. I see Ray's at 77. Jalen Hurts and Kirk Cousins, Najee, J.K. Dobbins, Sanders, Fournette. Okay, so I like this because Reza is who is scooping up all this running back value. J.K. Dobbins slide, Miles Sanders with that epic slide, the Fournette slide. Then he does get Hill, Evans, Devonta Smith, Antonio Brown, Parker, Bateman, Perriman, Fulgham, David Moore. And then he goes with the 3 tight end build, which I think makes sense with these guys, Troutman, Jonnu, Eric Ebron. Not seeing a lot by way of stacks.
Yeah. So that's my 2 cents here is maybe reaching on a guy like Goddard or another primary wide receiver in Philadelphia, like Waddle or something along those lines. So I think
don't know. Structurally though, I think you played this right. I think with Hurts, you can definitely go 2 QBs this late. You definitely need.
Oh, he has Devonta.
He does have Devonta, and he has Miles Sanders.
Okay, no, oh, it's great. It's good.
Yeah, for sure. I think it would be nice if you're only going 2 QBs. I think having some kind of bet on the Vikings with another stack would make sense. But the Vikings are kind of a tough team to stack. Like, there's not really a 3rd wide receiver there that you get excited about.
Yeah, and I keep saying Waddle is in Philly, and he's not because Miami traded and got him, but I was expecting them to take him in the draft, and it's Devonta is there. I keep saying Waddle is not in Philadelphia.
Yeah, It's always hard for me. It's funny because I look at a team like this and this is basically a who's who of people I haven't been drafting. I have very little Najee Harris. I have very little Devonta Smith. I have zero Antonio Brown. I have very little Leonard Fournette. I didn't have a ton of Jonnu Smith. So, but the nice thing is it goes back to this. It's like, it might not be my flavor for player selection, but the construction is smart. And that's what happens with all of these drafts. Like everyone now in these drafts are drafting very smart constructions.
Well, and that's something that you talk about even in daily fantasy, right? Like the picks, quote unquote, don't nearly as matter as much as your roster construction. And I think the same thing applies here to these best ball mania tournaments.
Yeah. I think the 4 running back build here made complete sense. Probably could have even waited on the 4th running back, but then when Fournette slid so far, similar to what we did with Melvin Gordon, you just draft it and then you're good to go there. So I think this is a nice team. I haven't been doing a lot of 3 tight end builds. I do really prefer getting 1 tight end that I think could finish top 5 on the year, because that's my only quibble with this of like, if I'm trying to win $1 million, can Troutman, Jonnu Smith, or Eric Ebron be a top 5 tight end this season? Probably not, but you could hit, the lottery with the spiked weeks throughout the playoffs if it breaks right.
This is the type of build to go with 3 tight ends though, or the type of players to take 3 tight ends.
Yeah, for sure. You get a kind of a mix of some younger guys breaking out. You got the veteran. If Big Ben's arm stays on, maybe Jonnu is the perfect fit in New England and you're good to go. So, good stuff, guys. I both love and hate drafting with all of you. You're a thorn in my side.
That was honestly brutal.
It's so tough. It's so tough. But it's like, Hodge, you do those workouts. Like if you ever do, pull-ups with a weighted vest and then you go to do regular pull-ups, then you feel pretty good. That's what it's like doing these drafts with these guys.
Yeah. Training with an altitude mask on for sure.
What else you got going on? I mean, obviously follow Hodge on Twitter. He's been doing the underdog puzzles. I want to start doing some of those. What would you do at this spot in the draft? But what else do you got going on these days?
Not a whole lot, man. Really working on some of this best ball stuff. I'm going to be launching my own site here soon, which was a last minute whim type thing. So be on the lookout for that. And I'll be doing some stuff with Fantasy Labs as well. But just super stoked that the season's here, man. Ready to get knee deep in these best balls and very excited for September. For sure. I doubt I need to further promote Underdog, considering everyone here has already done like 100 drafts in their belt. But if you haven't signed up, if you want to get in the mix with us, you can use promo code Pete on Underdog Fantasy, get $25 with your first deposit. I'm trying to think other news for me this week. The usual Club Top Shot on Tuesday, lulls and ship chasing on Wednesday, randomizer on Thursday. And I'm going to have big news on a fun, you guys have seen me tease a randomizer merch project, and I'm going to be sharing those details tomorrow. I think you guys will be excited about that. So thank you guys for chilling with us this morning. Thank you, Ryan Hodge, for getting up bright and early with us. Absolutely. Thanks for having me on, Pete.
All right. See you guys.